By the way, what are your thoughts on this? What you got, Dark Emperor? Prediction Princess. Believe me, that's another one.
Hey guys, Paul here. I know it's been a while.
I'm tired of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Extra deck. You know what's interesting? Hold on. Before we watch this, I have been, chat, like a very big proponent. Or excuse me. What is it when you're against something, chat? Proponent means like you're advocating for it. You're pro it. What does it mean when you're like against it, right? Opponent. Hater. What? No, hater. What the fuck? Hater means no. Hater is like you. No, not hater. You know what I mean? Detractor. All right, we'll go with that. Yeah, I've been a detractor. Hater is like no. Hater means like you have like deep personal animosity towards it. I have been a detractor, negator. I have been a detractor, chat, of like the idea of expanding the extra deck, right? Like a lot of people have said, Cap, we have so many good generic cards. We need to expand the extra deck, yada, yada, this, yada, 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 that. And I'm always thinking to myself, right, because maybe I'm too biased, right? The decks that I play, chat, Eldritch, Vanquish Soul, Runic, they barely need the fucking extra deck. Runic got one extra deck monster, you know, Vanquish Soul has one extra deck monster. You know what I mean? Runic has like 5, but you really just summon 1. I'm like, okay, Eldritch has like 1, but like it doesn't even really exist. So I'm like, oh, well, my decks don't use the extra deck, so I'm not trying to hear you cry about how you want to add more monsters into your extra deck, right? But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. There's one deck, chat, and maybe 2 that has made me change my opinion. And you could say like, no, it's not worth changing the rules for like 2 different decks, chat. But like, what do you guys think that deck is or archetype? And when you really think about it, it should be kind of obvious. But there's one deck that's like kind of getting screwed over by the extra deck limit. It's a few of them. Utopia, all Baz. Actually, that's the second one. Dyer is correct. The archetype, chat, is Salamangreat. And it's just simply because of how the reincarnation mechanic works, chat. Salamangreat does not have a choice. You have to run multiple copies of like all the monsters. Like you don't have a choice whether you want to run Sunlight. Like if you run Sunlight, well, like you have to run 2. You know, you have to be able to reincarnate to get like the extra effects of it. Same thing with the new one, the Raging Phoenix. Like you can't play one of these cards. Like that's not an option for Salamangreat. So whenever Salamangreat gets like a new card, chat, in the extra, if it's a link monster, you have to allot not 1 but 2 spots for it. You know what I mean? Like Salamangreat right now is like, yo, can we even run Pyro Phoenix? Like probably not. So Salamangreat made me kind of come around. And forget the fact that, chat, for some reason, I have no idea, by the way. If you guys watch, Salamangreat has fusion monsters. Salamangreat has synchro monsters. Like Salamangreat has Xyz. I have no idea why they took an archetype that should have just been Link and gave it every mechanic in the entire game, chat. Yes, even Ritual. Salamangreat has every mechanic in the game for some reason. And I don't know. I mean, can you make a rule, chat, where, you know, Salamangreat should be able to use 20 extra deck spots? But like, that was the deck that really made me change my position. I was like, yo, I think Salamangreat should actually, I think they might need to change the rule, because it's kind of unfair, chat, that like, you know, Salamangreat has these cards, they'll get this new Link 4 or whatever, or maybe they get a Link 5 in another couple of years, and it's like, okay, now we just don't get to play Sunlight Wolf, or now we can't play Heat Leo. Is it Heat Leo, chat? What is the Link 3? Is it Heat Leo, or am I getting that confused with the link that lets you draw cards? I feel like it's Heat Leo, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They won't. No one plays the. No. But that's not even Dark Emperor. That's not even a point. Like, hold on. I don't think I can find one, but like, see if I can find. If I can go back and find like one of the Salamangreat list. Dude, it's been a long time since I played. Okay, all right, look. Like, bro, you literally can't play anything that's not fire. Like this, but like you can't even play the Link 3. Like, look how congested the extra deck of Salamangreat is. Like, you have to play Banelix, because Banelix gets you to Sanctuary. have to play 2 of, have to play multiples, have to play multiples. We have an XC. It's like, all right, we don't even get to run our Link 3 anymore. You know what I mean? Like the Link 3 is still, it's still a good card, chat. Like no Salamangreat player would be like, oh, we don't play the Link 3 because it's just a bad, like it's not a bad card. You know what I mean? It's like we don't have space for that shit anymore. And what if they get another Link monster? Then like, okay, well, I guess we just can't run Hida and Phoenix anymore. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah, he like, Salamangreat should run out of space, bro. Like, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hold on. It's easier just to count the knot. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, 11 of the spots, chat. Like, you look at these decks like Snake Eye. Does Snake Eye have any extra deck cards, chat? I'm pretty sure Snake Eye has no extra deck cards. They get to run every single SP and Typhon and all this. I was watching a deck profile by Jared, chat, probably 20 minutes before the stream. And he gets to run like Baron and Borreload Savage Dragon and all this. Like, you don't get to do any of that in Salamangreat. Like, you don't get to play any of those cards because you just 90% of your extra deck is just Salamangreat cards. You know, Sky Striker is kind of another one. And then Branded was the other one that I was thinking of, chat. Because with Branded, they just released too many freaking cards. Like, Branded just has so much, like every combination of 2 names can just make some weird form of like Albaz and some dragon form. So you know what I mean? Like Branded's another one. So anyways, that was a little off topic, but what's it called? I just wanted to get that out there. What if you can have 15 of every mechanic in the extra deck separately? Yo, that's actually so true. That's hilarious. So you could have 15 fusions, 15 links, 15. I mean, it doesn't really solve Salamangreat's problem, you know, but yeah, that'd be what's it called? Add Ignister, right? Yeah. I can play 15 fusions. I can play 15 links. I can play 15 XCs. There'd be a few decks that benefit off of that, chat. Like Add Ignister has like every mechanic in Yu-Gi-Oh. Actually, it's just the rain. Yeah, it's just the rain stuff. Yeah, those are like the decks. Prank Kids has a bunch of monsters if they ever get the cat back. Prank Kids has fusions. They have links. Prank Kids do not have XCs, I think, because yeah, the monsters are different levels. Okay. Anyways, DDD. Actually, yeah, DDD's interesting enough. DDD might have been like one of the poster childs of like we have all the mechanics. Okay. Rise says Salamangreat would need a field spell that reveals a monster in your extra, then treats it as a link on the field. Treats a link on the field as that monster when used to reincarnate. That could work. That could work, right? But that card would have to, like, its name would have to be Salamangreat Sanctuary, because it would still need to be searchable. So that, like, because if it's not searchable, but it's a Salamangreat card, it's like, okay, I guess. But you know, Sanctuary is so built into what Salamangreat do, and Balinx already gets it. Like, I don't want to restructure the entire thing. So like, yeah, if you made it count as Salamangreat Sanctuary, then it would work. Pranks only has 1 fusion. No, they have the Butler. They have the what is the one that looks like it's pissing, chat? It's a washing machine or something. I think it's called Weather Washer. It's really, what's it called? Yeah, the weather. Yeah, it's really like degenerate kind of cringy artwork when you actually look at the card, chat. Frank Kids Weather Washer. Like, it's really kind of, let's just say, oh, they have the rocket too. I mean, like, when you look at the artwork, I'm just gonna say it's sus, as the kids say. Because, like, you look at it, it looks like he's pink, and in his face, you guys know what that means if you watch enough anime, when the characters have, like, the little pink over, like, it usually means they're drunk, they're, like, sexualized, or there's something, it's something related to pleasure, chat. You know what I mean? So, like, this artwork is, I feel like they should have just not had this in the TCG. And I assume this is censored, because in the TCG, or the OCG, it's probably a little different. Oprah Pig. He's peeing all over them. Yeah, it's kind of it's a little disgusting. Let's just go with that.
But I'm back.
Okay, hold on. What prediction chat? What is this video about? I'm tired of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Extra deck. It could be about generic monsters that you see in like every duel. Like, I mean, the most generic right now is it used to be like Baron, but it's clearly SP right now. OCG has a BBC. The extra deck is too small. Generic. Is that an issue right now? Like, oh, well, I guess if you say the Charmers, yeah, because like if you say like what cards are you seeing in every duel, like Hita's in every duel, chat. Hita's in like literally every duel, and if people are, it's either Hita, Dark, or SP Little Knight. Those cards are in every duel, and Promethean Princess might be that too. So okay, that's fair enough. Dark, yeah, Dark, like Hita and Dark are in every duel. It low key, chat. It kind of makes me want to play a deck that's not Dark or Fire, and I understand that's like, why would you want to do that, Cap? But like, it's just so much. Again, I was watching Jared's video, and Jared was talking about, chat, how he thinks the Charmers have gotten to the point that's like they're damn near degenerate. You know what I mean? Like, you go in the Dark, you steal someone's Dark Witch, and then you just full combo. You know what I mean? Or you take someone's Fire, and it's like these Charmers are now at the point you can take like any two random monsters and like steal some shit from your dude, ashing your opponent, chat, just to have your opponent steal your that feels degenerate, chat. When you ash your opponent, which is the most popular card in the last 10 years of Yu-Gi-Oh, and then your opponent uses your ash to, like, that feels bad, bro. Bring back Gamma, seriously. It's just Hita all around is so much. I'm legit not playing Ash this point. That's what a lot of people were saying, is like, don't play Ash because of Hita and the fact that she's in every deck. It just wins the opponent the game that's what I'm saying, Dar. Is like I'm almost at my wit's end where it's like maybe I just don't play I don't play any fires in my deck at all, including Ash. I play like Flu where it's just Shifter. You know, like I'll deal with Shifter. Like, Shifter is that good. You know what I mean? If you want a Dark Shifter, like, all right, go for it. The genericness is going to oh wait, hold on. The genericness going on makes most duels feel almost entirely identical. It's kind of pointless to even assign names to these fire decks, which is kind of why we don't. We just call them fire. Swap Ash to Droll, John Wick 4, Bible Thump. Bro, it's not even 10 o'clock yet. Chill out. Nightmares and Charmers were way too generic and strong. See, I'm thinking about that. With Nightmares, yes. But like, was I looking at Charmers, chat? Because the Charmers came out like 1%, and was I saying like, oh, these cards are like a problem? Because at least with the Charmers, Konami made it so like, oh, you have to at least have that type to summon that type, and then you only get to summon that type. Like, with the Charmers, I could say like at least Konami tried to put some guardrails on the cards. With the Nightmares, there was like literally no guardrails. Like, it's like, oh, Nightmare Goblin, extra summon, like any two monsters. You know, like there was no guardrails on the Nightmares. In fact, they just got better because all of them had like draw effects too, which was like also why the fuck all these cards let you draw cards as well. The Charmers have no reason to be a problem. Nightmares were just like gas, and they were so generic. But like at the very least, chat, at least Konami made you use the attribute. You can't just like take two fire monsters and make dark. Like that's what I'm saying. And you know, like that might not seem like a lot, but at least it's something. That's all I'll say. All right, let's watch this. It was just that links were impossible to design around. To be honest, the Charmers are fair in my opinion. It's just Hita now is too strong because of how many good fire decks there are. Well, it's not just that, Dyer. It's Hita. It would be one thing if like you went Hita, summoned a monster, and then like you just had to attack with like the fact that Promethean Princess is a thing. Like you go for a Link 2, take Ash, then you go on the Promethean, then she instantly summons another card back. So you're going from a Link 2 to a Link 4 without expending any more resources. That's the problem. Like, that's why Summon Sorcerers got banned. It's like, damn, this, like that's why cards like Fiber and stuff get banned, because like, man, these cards let you Link climb for like no resources at all, and then Promethean Princess becomes a disruption, chat. Like, yo. But before we play this, chat, press 1 if Promethean Princess will be the next Link monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! To get banned. I'm gonna go with 1. And until I can think of something else, I'm gonna say she's the next Link monster to get banned, bro. If she didn't have that disruption, maybe, but that disruption was like completely fucking unnecessary. Like, yo, we're gonna make her an extender, and we're gonna make her stop you when you're going second. You also have to play around this bitch too. It's like, damn, man, you guys really just want me to play Labyrinth and Flu, right? Like, you guys want me to just play these decks that like don't special summon, where I'm just normal summon, set card, pass, or only normal summon, normal summon, normal summon. Like, that's crazy. Jasmine will go. You say Jasmine? I do think Aromatherapy. I said this like 2 years ago. Aromatherapy Jasmine is actually a completely busted card. It's just gonna take a while for like it will come eventually, but like plants have too many good individual cards for that card to not be. In the OCG, it was exploited in like what they call plant FTK, but we didn't get that in the TCG. But like, yeah, I can see Aromatherapy Jasmine getting banned at some point. Celine is on the watch list, in my opinion. Yeah, Diabellistar being Spellcaster did not help that, because it used to be like, oh, you have to run Effect Veiler like they did in the Sky Striker decks, but like, yeah, now that every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh plays Diabellistar, like, let's play this.
To talk about why I'm kind of just tired of the extra deck in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a little complicated, we'll get into it. But first, a really funny thing. So we've been playing with the new Yu-Gi-Oh! 2-player starter deck. It comes with this like comic book thing that has the scripted duel that's supposed to like teach new players. And I just came across this really funny passage I wanted to share, where basically they're describing the different extra deck monster types.
How your extra deck works. Your extra deck is always separate from your main deck. Keep it off to the side face down. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess excluding because pendulums are face up. Your extra deck can only contain extra deck monsters: Synchro, white, Exceed, black, Fusion, purple, Link, blue, and Pendulum, which is... Oh my god, they're even explaining that Pendulum was like a bad, but like, yo, all these other mechanics make sense. Pendulum, okay, well, it's like green at the top, and it's like brown at the bottom. It's like, it has numbers and shit, and then also it has this type of effect, but that's not a monster effect. It's only effect when it's in... My god, just delete Pendulum from Yu-Gi-Oh! Seriously, delete this mechanic. Like, they're even saying, like, yeah, we kind of fucked up with this mechanic. Even when I'm saying it, chat, like, Pendulum's just such a bad mechanic, guys. My god. Okay, you can look through your extra deck during play, but not your opponent's extra deck. Okay. I mean, well, unless you play Kashtira, and you play Kashtira Unicorn, I can look at your deck, you know? Slay! Pendulum isn't... It's not about it being so complex, Dolan. It's just... It's so different than every other mechanic. Like, it doesn't even sound like... It works so different than any other mechanic. And if you try to explain to people, chat, Pendulum, but they already kind of have like a decent grasp of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, how is this even part of this game? Like, this seems like a completely different card game. Okay, so instead of taking two monsters and making a new monster, which is literally all the rest of them, right? In some form, this one requires you to put like a card on the left, a card on the right, then you summon a bunch of cards from other places in between the numbers of the card. Like, what? This doesn't even sound like the same game. Every other card is like, all right, I take my Dark Magician and my Blue Eyes and I fuse them together. I take my Dark Magician and this card and I overlay them together. I take my, non-tuner and my other tuner and I make a new one. Like, Pendulum is just so completely different, chat. Seriously. Different is bad. Yes, when it comes to Pendulum. Just delete that mechanic from Yu-Gi-Oh, chat. Honestly, if they didn't interact with the extra deck at all, with the extra deck at all, pins would be great. But making them extra deck made them. That's even that's dumb. It's like, oh well, when pendulums don't go to the graveyard, they go back to the extra deck, but they go face up, and then you just summon them again. It's like I don't like that mechanic, Chad. If you guys can't tell, I don't like pendulum as a mechanic at all. I just delete it.
So they just talk about like the colors they are. Like Synchro's white, Xyz is black, Link's blue, and then for pendulums they're just like, it's complicated. I don't know. If you ever needed more evidence that Konami does not seem to like pendulum monsters, you have it there. So it was funny. Anyway,
Me
okay.
too.
The actual topic of today's video.
If Konami doesn't like them, stop making them. Seriously, if Konami doesn't like Pit, just stop making them. That's all you have to do. Like, you were obligated to make Pendulum during the Arc V era. I agree with that. Like, you had to make them because that's what the anime was about. But you're not obligated to making them anymore, chat. Like, there's no reason. Was it Valence? Like, Valence, Sofa Chords. Just don't make them. Or just make them not Pendulum. There you go. Just don't make it anymore. Konami, TCG. Just the TCG hates them. Yeah. Someone hates Pendulums, chat. Why do we not pin monsters from the grave? They just have to go to... I don't even know, Flax. Why pendulums have to go to the I don't fucking know. Even Yu-Gi-Oh! Art, like, maybe like the last couple of episodes in Art V explains that, like why they have to go to the extra deck. But like, I don't fucking know. Just ban every pendulum card. No, what you do is you just you delete the zones. There's no more pendulum zones. So like, you can normal summon a pendulum monster, but there's no more zones. Now you can't play them. Now the mechanic doesn't work anymore. There's no more pendulum scales. You just have to use them as regular monsters. Cap hates thinking. No, I don't hate thinking. I just hate pendulums. I just don't like that mechanic. The OCG likes them. TCG doesn't. Because y'all are whiny racists. Feels blackest, man.
Video, though, is that I am really tired of the extra deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! More specifically, I am tired of generic extra deck monsters that kind of feel like they steal the spotlight from decks' actual strategies and actual boss monsters. This is not...
Like... I mean... If you wanted to be honest, chat, does anyone... Like, if you... Let's say, chat, that you just went to your locals, right? And you took Baron DeFleur. How many duelists out of 10, chat, could name the duelist who that was supposed to be a card for? I feel like probably like 2. Like, if you were like, whose card is this? I feel like only 2 players would, 2 out of like 10 would actually know who like this is. Like, I don't even know. Her name is like Sherry or something. She's from like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. To like, I think she's like French or something like that. But like, serious? Yeah, Sherry. I feel like probably somewhere between 1 to 2 players. I think that's like a prime example. Or who would even know it? Like, if you told me her archetype had like a name, I wouldn't know. I would guess Chevalier is like the name of it. But if it's not, I have no idea. Like, is that what it's called? Is it called Chevalier? It's called DeFleur. The archetype is called DeFleur. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. It's called, the archetype is called DeFleur. Yeah. See that? There you go. Like, if DeFleur is an archetype, like, no one has ever summoned Baron DeFleur in DeFleur. Like, the Baron is just, she's just a generic extra deck for like everybody, or an extra deck boss for everybody now. You know what I mean? Chevalier is knight in French. Cap is the fakest. Bro, the best arc is Dark Signers. What do you want from me? Like, I just need to watch the best.
A new complaint. I've talked about this in the past. I just think it's one of those issues that you kind of got to talk about it every now and again because there's usually new staple sort of extra deck monsters that come out.
Access
like in the past year, we've gotten Bestial Dispater, Chaos Angel, and most prominently SP Little Knight. And I don't know. I think like these cards really are starting to sort of stifle just deck building and card design a little bit because so many modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks will do, you know, a really cool combo or whatever, or have a really neat, unique gimmick, and they'll even have main deck boss monsters. But ultimately, what a lot of it can come down to is how many of these generic extra deck monsters does your deck spit out. It doesn't really matter if you're playing Blue Eyes or Super Heavy Samurai if the end goal is to still end on the same kind of set of extra deck cards.
That actually might be the greatest example, chat. The greatest example of what he's talking about is probably Super Heavy Samurai. Like, this is a deck that if you really think about it, has incredibly unique and interesting design, chat. Like, if you really look at SHS, it's one of the most unique and interesting concept. Like, you can't have any spells at all. Like, if you guys have seen the anime, right? If you watch the anime, the kid Gongetsuku, he don't play any spells or traps at all. Like, literally every card he plays is a monster. So it's like, yo, you're not supposed to play any spells or traps. You're just supposed to just play monsters. You know what I mean? The monsters all summon themselves in defense and can attack in defense. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of like really cool and interesting things about SHS. And it's like, okay, but what was the most effective way of playing it? Just Baron, Savage, Omega. That's what we did. It's like we just turned the deck into like, how many fucking negates can you make? Like Regulus, Savage, Baron. Let's go into a Lambda with Gamma in my head. It's like, wow, we don't end on anything related to Super Heavy Samurai at all, chat. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Appo. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we turned the deck into. And if it was legal right now, it'd probably have like an SP on the inputs. Like, all right, Appo, Baron, Savage, you know what I mean? SP Little Knight. Like, that's what we turned that super interesting and unique deck into, chat. How many generic, like, extra deck monsters can we summon? And you know what? Maybe, chat, I press 1 if Cap finally understands BP's pain. Sorry, BP. It actually took me almost a year to, like, understand what the fuck you were talking about. Like, I actually, real talk, chat, this is like a wrestling is fake moment. I actually understand what BP was talking about, because when you look at SHS, it actually is really, really unique in design and interesting in concept, and absolutely none of that, like, none of it is essentially translated to, like, playing it competitively. You get rid of all the interesting aspects, and you just play it as, like, how many negates can we get to? How many negates, boys? How many negates? You know? Better than FTK. I mean, I'm just saying, it's like, it's sad to just see something so interesting and unique, Dyer, turn into something just like, I mean, it's effective. You know, no one's gonna say Omni negates her, but like, it's like, man, now I kind of do understand what he was talking about. Because like, BP hated it, or he didn't hate SHS. He hated what it became during that format, during like last year, like YCS Philly, and before they banned it mid-event. Like, yeah, he hated what the deck became, and it's like, I finally understand that. I can get with that. It was a shitty pet deck, but it was my shitty pet deck. I feel you.
You'll see this a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles, where it'll be like, cool, like Red Eyes deck, or cool, you know, insert really whatever rogue or kind of just fun strategy you want deck. But when it's like combos, it usually tends to just be, okay, you end on Barone, you end on Borreload Savage, Apollosa. All of these different cards that just...
That's literally what we just said with Super Heavy Samurai. Baron, Savage, Oppo. That's literally the cards we just said.
Sort of like, they're the same thing. There are even ones that kind of just play roles in combos. Chaos Ruler, I know it's banned now, but like when that was around, that was a really universally just used card in a lot of different strategies.
Yeah, and also
I play lots of Master Duels, so obviously I see a lot of Thunder Dragon Colossus, and DPE is still fairly frequently seen on Master Duel as well, and that one can get really annoying. And so the main thing I have about this is that it sucks when you're trying to build a new deck and you realize that it's just better to go into a generic sort of omni-negating extra deck monster instead of your deck's boss monster. And there are a lot of solutions to this that people have brought up, and I'll just bring them up again because I tend to mostly agree with them. The first is just that most of these extra deck monsters really should not have been as generic as they are. Okay. This goes for your cards like Barone, where like maybe it could have taken a Wind monster, or even Wind Warriors or something like that, where it's like pretty closely tied to just being played in the deck that it's from, the Floor, it's like Synchron and all that's a Floor Knight deck.
I'm trying to chat, what's an example of them doing that and doing it right? Of Konami making maybe Super Heavy Samurai Shien? Because oh my god, chat. That card, give you guys quick context, chat. If you're thinking of, like, I'm talking about a 5D6 Samurai, right? Shien got limited to 1, and it was only playable in 1 deck. It was a generic Omni Negate, or a generic Spell and Trap Negate, because Dolan's like, that's not an Omni Negate. It was a generic Spell and Trap Negate every turn for free. and it was just for Samurai because it required Samurai monsters to summon. It's like, oh my god, if that card would have been a generic, it would have been banned. It'd have been banned after one format. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to think of like, what are some good examples, chat, of like, well, I don't even want to say Naturia because like, I mean, maybe you could say new Naturia with like Runix, but I'm talking about examples of like negations or like really good generic extra deck cards, but that were successful in their archetypes though. Because like Xian was, Six Samurai became like a multiple time winning YCS deck, and like it was the only deck that could summon Xian. You know what I mean? But like, do Naturia summon Beast? You know what I mean? Like Dark Law. Okay, yeah. The Infernoble one. Yeah. The new one, the Link monster, Charles the Great. Yeah. That card's design is insane, by the way. Evolzers and Dino Rabbit. I mean, no, that's like the opposite of what we're talking about, Divine. No. We're saying like Dino Rabbit stole the Evolzers from like a completely different. Like Dino Rabbit is not Evolzers. Dino Rabbit, the only Evolzers they played was like the extra deck mod. Like they stole it from a different archetype and just made it like infinitely better. You know what I mean? I miss Dino Rabbit, Crystal Wing. Yeah, I think Crystal Wing's a good example. Because if you play Speedroid, you are summoning Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. You know what I mean? Like that was it called. Who has read an Evolzer or Eva to... I mean, I think they have a couple of regional tops. Back in the day, chat, back during Zexal, people used to call them Digimon. Not the first release, but there was like one card they got. I think it might have been Evo Singularity. There was like one card that they got that made them like regional top 8-ish level. And after that, like people were playing them a little bit. You know what I mean? But does it have to be a monster? If not, Infernity Barrier went to 1, if I can recall or remember. No, I'm just trying to think of, because like what Paul's saying is like, you have these generic extra deck cards, chat, and like, if Konami would lock them or make them a little less generic, then they'd be a lot healthier. You wouldn't see Baron, Oppo. I mean, Oppo is not part of an archetype, but you wouldn't see like Borreload Savage Dragon, chat, was supposed to be for Rockets. Like that's supposed to be a Rocket card. Rockets don't summon that card. Maybe in Dragon Link or something, but like every deck summons Borreload Savage Dragon, except as long as you can link in Synchro Summon, you know, like maybe Borreload Savage Dragon should have required a Dark Dragon, you know what I mean? Or maybe Baron DeFleur, like I don't know, Baron DeFleur, maybe a Wind Warrior, but at least a Wind Monster. Like that's, I'm trying to think of like examples. I think Xian is probably the best example of that. You know, Arise Heart. Yo, free Arise Heart. free Arise Heart so we can get rid of it. I was thinking about that. I was like, yo, free Arise Heart so that we could get rid of this shitty Year of Fire. And then I was thinking, I was like, oh my god, isn't Arise Heart a fire monster himself? Because the little Arise Heart is, and I was like, what if, what's it called? Like, what if you were playing Cash and you went into Arise Heart and then someone like Darkhold you and then they fucking heated your Arise Heart? Oh my god. That'd be like, I'm like, yo, get rid of heated. Like, that'd just be insane. The big one, oh, the big one's dark? Oh, he's dark? He's not fire? Oh, then yeah, free Arise Heart. Yeah, free Arise Heart then. Unless someone Dark Charmers it. But yeah, free Arise Heart. But I was thinking, because I was like, little Arise Heart's fire, so the big one's probably fire too, right? He's dark? That's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know how weird, but like, yeah, I thought the big one was fire. Okay, never mind. Shadow was pretty insulated insulated to its own archetype. Then it wasn't. Dragon Maid Shao, oh, dude! Yeah, Dragon Maid Shao's a great example, chat. Dragon Maid Shao is an Omni Negate, and I think she tags out. After she negates. She tags out into House Dragon Maid, the fusion though, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, like Dragon Maid Shao is a prime example of like a good boss monster, Omni Negation built in, but like you can only summon her in Dragon Maids. Like you're never using her in something else. Anyways.
The deck that it's from, the Floor, it's like Synchron and all that stuff, the Floor Knight deck. But that could also apply to like Warlord Savage Dragon. Why does it not take using a rocket monster or even like maybe a Dark Dragon?
Yep,
really,
Dark Dragon.
Really, that's not a limitation today, really, but you know what I mean. So things like that could have really been great. I also think that this even applies a little bit to the combo making cards. That's kind of where your Izolds come in, which, you know, we've been seeing a lot more of those Link monsters getting banned. But when you think about like the Christian Halki Firebrax and like how that sort of terrorized the game for so long, it was a card that really could have just used a restriction of like needing a Crystron tuner or needing like 2 Crystron monsters or something like that. You know, Isolde, like I said, that's a really good example. But I think the second thing outside of just making it where like these cards take materials from their home archetypes is to make generic extra deck monsters significantly weaker. And by weaker, I mean they could either have weaker effects or weaker stats or even both. So a really good example might be, okay.
I think, chat, I hate to say this like so broadly because someone will take it to like the furthest, I guess, point. But like, dude, stats just like don't matter. Like if Baron DeFleur was a 2000 attack monster, she'd still be that bitch. Like she'd still be incredible. You know what I mean? Like stats just like don't matter. Yeah, that's I was like, look at SP Little Knight. Like SP Little Knight, chat, is running the format. She's a 1600 attack monster. She's running the format, bro. She's a 1600 attack monster, and every deck would like, you dare not play SP Little Knight. She's a freaking 1600 attack. Like stats just don't matter. Like it has to be the effect. Like SP Little Knight is a prime example of that. The most generic, most played extra deck card in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Oh, what's her attack? She must be crazy, but not 1600. 1600 attack. You could beat over her with a freaking legend. And she's like the best, most splashable card right now. You know what I mean? Yes, and well, again, like I'm not saying SP Little Knight could have 100 attack, but like, I mean, they put like they didn't make her crazy where it's like, oh, she has 2000 attack for like a Link 2. They gave her 1600 attack, and like she's still crazy. You know what I mean? Verte. Leviathan is a generic rank 9. Oh, is that's the blonde one, Dyer? But Generator is the only level 9 deck that's real. So I think that counts. Also, well, I mean, it also tags into a Generator card. You know what I mean? So the best extra deck monsters have low attacks. Being a low attack monster forces you to lose out on your battle phase at worst. Wait, what is Promethean? Why is Promethean? I did not know that. Yeah, Promethean Princess chat. Hold on. Actually, cause don't ask why DeviantArt is after her. I wasn't looking for fanfic for our fan pictures, chat. I was just looking for Promethean Princess to get the what's it called. I need a TCG copy. No, yeah, I wasn't looking down. That's where you go to like Pixif. Don't go to Pixif and type in Promethean Princess. You're gonna find some stuff. It wasn't, chat. So it's not even that she's 2700, which is like, I mean, that's bigger than like Firewall Dragon's only 25 and he's a Link 4. Why is she generic? Like, why you can summon her with 2 darks? Like her whole stick is fire this, fire that, fire this. Like I'm a fire. I summon fires from the graveyard. When I use my disruption effect, it revolt. Like, why don't you need a fire to summon this bitch? Because I did not know that, Chad. I was like, wait a minute, you actually just don't need a fire? You can have like Diabella Star plus SP Little Knight and just summon her? Like, really? That's just something that struck me as odd. Like, it just seemed kind of stupid to me. Like, she doesn't need a fire monster at all, even though all 3 of her effects, like, she even locks you in the fire, right? Everything around her is fire based except her summoning conditions. It's just weird to me. You know what I mean? Because 2700, because she's 2700 with generic materials, good pointers, and nasty effects. I mean, the restriction, I guess, was supposed to be you're locked in the fire with her, but like, that's just, it's so bizarre, chat, that she does not need a fire monster to summon. That's just something that I know. I think I was watching some DB Grinder video and someone used 2 dark monsters and I was like, you can't do that. And I read her and I'm like, oh, I guess you can. You know what I mean? There are certain attack thresholds that matter. Diabelistar, Hoovu, ask her out.
If we're gonna make Baronne de Fleur be completely just generic and any deck can make it, then maybe its attack points should be a lot less. Like it's quite low for a level 10 synchro. So maybe instead of 3,000 attack, you give it like 2,500 attack, right? And you also maybe slightly.
Chat, is Baronne de Fleur still busted at 2,500 attack? I think the answer is obvious. If Baronne de Fleur is 25, she's not like a 13 out of 10 like she is now, but she's still an 11 out of 10. That bitch is still busted. If Baronne de Fleur has 500 less attack, it doesn't matter that like there's a few boss monsters that can run her. Like she's still busted. She's still crazy good.
Effect a little bit. Instead of just being able to pop a card in the field, you have to discard a card, and then you can pop a card in the field. So there's maybe a little bit of like, a cost tied to it. Or with the negation, you can discard a card to get the negate, right? I think...
Press 1, chat, if she's better, because now Typhon can't negate her, big brain. She's actually better, bro, because now Typhon doesn't counter her, so like your opponent tries to tie, you just negate. GG, scrub. Yeah, she's technically better. Yeah, Baron at 25 is actually better because Typhon.
That these are little things that would add up to make Baronne perhaps feel like a lower value monster to go into. Now, granted, still getting a pop and getting a negate is still very good. We've seen what happened with like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, but I just think that like a deck's level 10 synchro should be more worth making than Baronne's. I think that you could even like put in, even more. You can go so far with this. Like another really good example to me is Borreload Savage Dragon. If you're not going to make it take rocket monsters, then maybe the link monster in your graveyard that like it targets and equips should have to be a dark dragon monster. That would be really nice. There's also things like access code talk.
That would have been really good actually, because that would have basically meant, chat, that like Savage would only like it wouldn't have affected Dragon Link at all, because they would just like Striker Dragon. I guess maybe they wouldn't be able to use like Romulus or whatever, but like for the most part they would still just you could still get one negate on a Striker Dragon, but like that would have kept her out of like all the other decks. That would have kept the Borreload Savage out of like Manadium and this deck and that. I think the Snake Eye deck, chat. I hear if you play Jet Synchron, you can make Savage Dragon. So like they would have kept it out of all these other decks.
And Boral Sword Dragon, kind of more in the past on that one, where like they're just kind of OTK enablers. They can just finish a game off really quickly. Again, don't know why like access code had to be generic, but sure, cool, whatever. If that's the case though, then maybe its attack points could be lower, the amount it gains could be less. It can maybe only attack monsters instead of like being able to attack directly. I think you just gotta like tie in some sort of a downside. And even when we take the conversation away from boss monsters, there are other cards where I think this has been done fairly well, like the Nightmare monsters. So I think of things like Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Phoenix, where Nightmare Cerberus and Phoenix take 2 monsters to make, and then when you make them, you still have to discard another card just to pop a spell or trap with, say, like Nightmare Phoenix, right? And I think that that's a really good place to be in terms of balance. Their attack points aren't high. They're just a way to out something if your deck has no other way of doing it.
Then
so it
we
kind
say
of turns your
Nightmares
extra
were a
into a
mistake.
useful toolbox.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Nightmares is an interesting discussion, right? Because the archetype is only like 5 cards or something, and we banned like 2 of them. So let me the ones that like remove cards on the field are fine, but like I don't look at Nightmares as just like Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn. I look at Nightmares in totality. I look at like Griffin and Goblin and Mermaid. There's like 6 cards, and we banned like 2 of them. You know what I mean? And then also it's like Nightmare Griffin. There was a time, chat, where like Nightmare Griffin was kind of looking a little bannable, chat. You know what I mean? Yeah, Nightmare Griffin was like kind of looking a little bannable when people were like they were like setting Eradicator when they sent it to the graveyard with like Curious, or there was a time when Unchained was making it against like Cash as like a floodgate. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying.
Box, but one that certainly has some costs attached. I think if you have an in-archetype boss monster or an in-archetype link or whatever that's sort of supposed to be able to do things for you, it should do a better job of that thing than a Nightmare Phoenix or Nightmare Cerberus should. And then you get into things like SP Little Knight, where I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, it has summoning requirements, right? If it like takes extra deck monsters, that's sort of something. Deck. But I do still think that it's crazy that just this like Link 2 monster is so much better at outing things and kind of just getting value turn over turn than most decks, you know, in archetype, in theme cards. And then all of this is a little bit more of a shame because Yu-Gi-Oh! Finally has been getting some pretty neat main deck strategies. For a long time, I feel like it hasn't had that. So, like, if you think about, there's a few decks. What's a really good one? Voiceless. I'd say Snake Eyes, actually, if you just play, like, the pure Snake Eye deck. Like, the Flamberg Dragon is a really cool main deck sort of boss monster thing. I think Rescue Ace is a really good example of this. Or a deck I've been playing a lot is Vanquish Soul, where, you know, you're not really using the extra deck very much outside of Rock of the Vanquisher, which is certainly not a boss monster and can't even attack or anything. So, I don't know. I feel like playing decks that have strong main deck strategies that help you sort of deviate from just making the same extra deck monsters over and over and over.
Oh my god, bro, like, it's crazy, chat. When you look at like the restrictions Konami will put on some cards, and then like Rock of Vanquisher is like, oh, you can't link with this card ever. Like they put that on like Rock of Vanquisher. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, you can't ever turn this into anything good. And you look at like some of the shit that the other archetypes get, like, Tyr didn't have any fucking restrictions at all. Like, what? Like, sometimes Konami balance team chat like does not make sense to me at all. You know what I mean? I look at Vanquisher, I'm just like, you just can't do anything with Rock of the Vanquisher, like, at all. Can't link it away. You could turn it into Typhon, I guess. But, you know, like, some archetypes just don't get no, like, you guys remember when Adamantipator came out? And I looked at I was like, wow. I was like, so there's no restrictions on this shit at all? Like, really? Okay. No restrictions on Adamantipator. It never made sense. Remember, you talking about Chaos Emperor Dragon? Okay.
It's just, I don't know, it's kind of been more refreshing for me. I've found that I really like those decks a bit more. Or, you know, some of the decks that you guys kind of have heard that I play, like, you know, Rika, stuff like that, where it's plant locked, so at least I'm only able to
Rika's like
play plant Xyz monsters or Link monsters or whatever for the most part. And in that way, it sort of keeps it on theme.
I gotta be honest, chat. Like, people complain. Well, I don't know how much they complain about it. I'm not trying to make something up, right? So I won't say that. But there are like a good deal of archetypes, chat, that have like these kind of like lingering locks. And for the most part, are they just not all positive, chat? Like, looking back in hindsight, like when Rika gets plant locked, it's not like Rika still can't do good stuff. Like, Rika can still have like a monster negate even though they're plant locked. Like, they can still have a spell in trap, or they can still have a spell negate with like their exceed. You just have to make these very generic cards, or when rockets get like dark locked, you know what I mean, for like the remainder of the turn. It's like a little baby lock in Labyrinth, where if you use like the big welcome, you can only summon like fiends, I think, from the extra deck. It's like, how come Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't do that more, chat, on some of these the archetypes? Like, I don't know, like, why aren't a lot of these fire archetypes like fire locked? You know what I mean? They should. Speedroids. Rock has that restriction because they're afraid of generic link climbing. Cards need to sell. Red Dragon Archfiend gets locked into Dark Synchro. Speedroids. I think Speedroids might get win locked, right? I mean, I get it, Dolan, but it's just like a lot. Like, how many times, chat? Like, again, looking back in hindsight, I'm sure there are a few, but like, a lot of times we still find good ways to like make stuff playable. Like, does Dragon Link ever, or I understand that this is more of a Rocket thing, chat, but like, did it ever really matter that Dragon Link got Dark Lock, chat? Like, you look at the evolution of that deck and people just turned it into a freaking Chaos deck anyways. Like, it never mattered, you know? Same thing with Rika. Is just, I don't know, I feel like maybe they need more of that. Again, I don't want to just be a Tyr hater, but like, Tyr was like the biggest example of like, why when they use a Tyr effect to fusion summon, aren't they fusion locked for the remainder of the turn? Like, I never understood that. You know what I mean? I want Memento to be good. They have a 1-card combo, Anime Night. It's like, I mean, you lose the nib, but the combo is good. Yeah, they what's it called? Anime Night go on YouTube and search Memento combos, and they're all fairly new videos too because the Memento cards are in the new set. So like the combos are all within like the last like 5 weeks or so. Konami, just a small indie company that can't afford good playtesters and good RNG. Just a small little $8 billion indie company that just made an animation studio from thin air. Small little indie company, chat, that just created an animation studio out of their ass. Like they just they just pull an animation studio out of their fucking ass and announce the animation studio with like an 8-minute video that's all original content. Like small little indie company. They don't have no money.
Just my ability to be like, okay, I can get a bunch of Rikas in the field and just make an Apollosa, or whatever. So I don't know. I find that this is not the world's biggest problem, but it just makes me get a little bit exasperated with the extra deck because when I play and I play a lot of different decks, but I feel like I'm facing the same inboard threats. It's just not really very exciting, is it? But maybe this is just me kind of complaining about it. I mean, this could be still spun as a bit of a good thing, right? Like these extra deck monsters ensure or help to ensure that maybe super lower tier strats do have something strong they can make, right? Where you can just make a Barone even if your deck doesn't like have anything strong, at least you got that. So maybe that's the sort of argument for it. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it, though. I mean, I'm not going to say that the extra deck has ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! That's sort of a different conversation about the way that Link monsters work or Xyz or Synchros. So different, video made for a different time. But more so just I'm tired of generic extra deck monsters that feel like they are homogenizing the deck building, deck kind of playing experience. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I would really love to hear it, and I should be back tomorrow with more regular videos like this that are just different Yu-Gi-Oh! Conversations. So make sure that you drop a like.
I mean, I thought this video was fine, chat. Like, generic discussion videos like this to me are perfectly fine content. Even if you're complaining or being critical about the game, like I don't find that to be like this. I mean, Paul's probably the most non-toxic Yu-Gi-Tuber there is. So like, what's it called?